This AskReddit user asks, why should we be worried about the future? People are very unwise, selfish and short-sighted. Technology is enabling more and more people to make very bad long-term destructive decisions more and more rapidly. Being 24. I'll hopefully be dead before that really hits. I mean before it's socially crippling. I read the news. Imagine you're 33 and an immortality pill becomes cheaply and commercially available. Would you take it? Not that I would want to be fully immortal, but my son is on the autism spectrum and being there for him until his natural death would really be wonderful. I could die in peace after. Considering how bad the present is, I have no clue what could happen later on. Because in the US we are being led by a gang of incompetent, criminal, dangerous people. We are all screwed. Period. I am so grateful I never had kids. I love my kids enough not to bring them into such a sty. In the US we are being led by a gang of incompetent, criminal, dangerous people. The biggest and most dangerous mistake Americans make is assuming that our leaders are incompetent. They are smart and wily as FK and have absolutely no interest in helping the common person. They are, however, exceptionally good at helping themselves and their rich friends and packaging it to the common man as a benefit to the common man. The politicians aren't stupid. They know exactly what they're doing. Have you seen half the st Trump says? He may have smart people behind him helping him pull the right, wrong strings, like Barr, but the man himself is a blithering idiot of the highest degree. I noticed this much more in speeches than, say, actual one-on-one interviews. Metal music and grunge fading away. From the mainstream maybe it's fading, but trust me, if you know where to look there is just so much metal, and a wide variety of subgenres. Oh good God, and the sub-subgenres. I hear people say it all sounds the same, but even within one subgenre there's so much diversity. I mean, like with death metal you have a band like Cannibal Corpse which sounds so different than, say, Opeth. The biggest thing we have to worry about is the degradation of human-on-human behavior. We'll kill ourselves long before the Earth or cosmic forces do. Crushing national debt. I agree that stimulus payments these days are probably necessary. But how will this end? Thing is, the stimulus is only the 23rd and 24th trillion. It was only a small part of the total debt. The USA threw $1 trillion on it in 2018 for no reason. At least this pandemic relief did have a reason. Yes, the additional trillions are almost trivial, which is amazing by itself. Check out how much goes to military spending and get your axe out. Taken from President Jimmy Carter's A Crisis of Confidence speech in 1979. The confidence that we have always had as a people is not simply some romantic dream or a proverb in a dusty book that we read just on the 4th of July. It is the idea which founded our nation and has guided our development as a people. Confidence in the future has supported everything else, public institutions and private enterprise, our own families, and the very Constitution of the United States. Confidence has defined our course and has served as a link between generations. We've always believed in something called progress. We've always had a faith that the days of our children would be better than our own. Our people are losing that faith, not only in government itself but in the ability as citizens to serve as the ultimate rulers and shapers of our democracy. As a people we know our past and we are proud of it. Our progress has been part of the living history of America, even the world. We always believed that we were part of a great movement of humanity itself called democracy, involved in the search for freedom. And that belief has always strengthened us in our purpose. But just as we are losing our confidence in the future, we are also beginning to close the door on our past. I just looked up this full speech and wow. It's amazingly similar to what we are facing today. I'm beginning to have a little faith in the future because if they suffered like we are spiritually and morally, as a community, Then maybe all we are missing is a strong leader to guide us. I like how in his speech he places some of the blame for the nation's lack of moral on himself, citing weak leadership. I love reading on presidents in the past. They used to be so inspirational, charming and strong. I feel the opposite. We had a leader like this that correctly saw the problems in the world and tried to plan accordingly. And we immediately voted him out and replaced him with a Hollywood actor with dementia. And the problems have never been addressed. Voters in America don't want to hear the way ahead is difficult and will require sacrifice. They want their bread and circuses and will vote accordingly. It's sad it only took a few generations too. All the shitty ST people mentioning in this thread. With the added fact that we as a species know better, but aren't doing anything to stop it. A little here and there. Sure. But the tide of all this ST is rising. We are terrible. Just reminding that the smartest people keep warning us that AIs can be very dangerous when they advance further. Looming economic crisis in the United States. It's tough now? Let's see. Economic crisis everywhere. Not just the US. The global economy took a hit. Looming? LMAO. When the government starts giving out money like it's on Oprah, I think we can officially call it a crisis. Part of the reason they rushed the CARES Act is because they felt they took too long to respond to 2008. Because we're the idiots who'll be living in it. Quote. Peter Quill. Approximately. Free speech is dying. The people who should protect it mock it. And the only people talking about it are the ones who hate it. Where have people been arrested and charged for speech? Actually asking. Give one example. High pathogenic avian influenza mutates rapidly into new strains affecting new and unpredictable species, including humans. In SE Asia, the level of alert related to monitoring new HPAI strains and outbreaks is very high. Because there is so much interface between people and their chickens and ducks. The Rona isn't good, but a new HPAI strain and outbreak starting in SE Asia would be worse. Because we could get hit by bus tomorrow. Which bus exactly? If I knew that, I wouldn't be worried. Global warming. But I experienced winter last season. And it wasn't warm at all. It baffles me how so many people fail to do a very simple reflection. To actually think over the fact there might be a reason for so many scientists who actually know a lot about the subject, and world leaders to say that climate change is happening. That perhaps you, who know little to nothing about the subject, should listen to the people who knows a lot about it. The issue is they know scientists are generally smarter and more educated in the field they talk about. They just think they're being paid off by orgs. Simply because they're getting paid to do said research. Because we still haven't learned to learn from the past. Microplastics. Antibiotic resistance. Rapidly rising CO2 levels. Chemical pollution killing algae in the ocean leading to declining oxygen levels, take your pick. Rapid dying of bee colonies. Superbugs could get really FG bad. Edit. I'm not sure you guys know what I meant XD. We already have MRSA. VRSA. MDR-TB. We shouldn't. Worrying just makes things worse. Make preparations against future problems if you can. But don't spend your energy worrying when you've done that. The God capital yet propounds the carcinogenic gospel of endless growth. Simply put, human economies need to stop seeking growth. And need to instead seek to serve the benefit of all. But that will never happen unless we eat the rich. Who's with me? Are they well seasoned? Global warming. The economy going in the toilet. People in power making bad choices. Soon we'll all be on leashes. Shorter ones than we are on now. Yosemite is holding the fart. You mean Yellowstone? Could they both be gassy? When one lets it go, the other will sneak theirs out too, so nobody notices. Our elected officials, almost all of which are much older than us. I'm assuming that I'm speaking to a mostly millennial, Zoomer audience here. Have little or no interest in mitigating climate change before it's too late. They won't have to live with the aftereffects. We, and our children and children's children. If they end up existing, well, they're bequeathing us a world that's increasingly unlivable because of their greed and malice. I've always seen politics as electing people who are living 40 to 50 years in the past. Sure, they may be wise, but they don't necessarily do what's the best for future generations. One thing that the past 4 to 5 years, at least, have taught me: older equals wiser. Necessarily. It seems that most older politicians are horribly out of touch with what people younger than 40 are facing. Yay. Age is in no way an indicator of wisdom. It's more of that they have more experience at political positions, which gives people the impression that they're better suited for that job. I feel like they'd be more beneficial in an advisory role than calling the shots. My fear is more places with situations like Venezuela will appear. One more comment. As born in the 90s or late 80s are the only people who actually seen climate change occurring in their lifetime. It's gonna take 20 to 30 years before we're in charge and we can fix ST. Which makes me worried that it might be too late by then. Well, it's been known in science since the 50s. And Greenpeace was already around in my folks' time. Meaning they did see climate change occur in their time. So I don't really see a reason for them to ignore it. Other than maybe the effects were a little less visible than they are now, but really ever so slightly. We're the generation that is witnessing our ponds not freezing in winter and spring and fall just merging into winter and summer. For the previous generation there wasn't this intense change between their childhood and their adulthood. Pollinators are dying. Without pollinators, nature as we know it might cease to exist. Meaning the very basic environment that allows us to live is actively dying, and we're all doing basically nothing to stop it. Because you can't do anything about the past. That it's becoming harder and harder for a generation to make an income that will give them a life as good as the parents. Unless they started with a reservoir of capital. I honestly have no excitement or hope about my future outside of high school. I expect it to just be me killing myself working. Only to still be broke. Because people are getting stupider. There are more people, so the same percentage of stupid people means a higher number of stupid people, but overall people are more intelligent and educated now than they ever have been in the past. We read more. We consume more information than ever before, and we actually feel negative psychological effects from the amount of knowledge we have about the world at large. People are far more intelligent now than ever, and that upward trend will continue. Global warming. Extraterrestrial intervention. I've been looking into quantum computing recently. And the capabilities will be super amazing. Basically, current security measures will not matter because a quantum computer will break today's encryption methods extremely quickly. Within a day. While I agree, I really think it's just a rat race. Encryption methods will catch up eventually. For sure. From my understanding, encryption using quantum computers, or using the qubits, will be near impossible to replicate. One TED Talk I was watching yesterday said that they would have to get around our current understanding of quantum physics. I think that before quantum computers are widespread, there could be serious security risks. Edit. Link. This video is more recent than the one posted in the other comment. Because humans are becoming inhumane day by day. War over water. Antibiotic resistance. There will come a point in which antibiotics won't work on most bacteria and infections. Diseases will be so hard to cure. It will be like going back to the 1800s where people would die for a cough. Well, I mean, gestures broadly. Yeah man, I agree. It seems too large to quantify or qualify. Increasing population, increasing consumption, and increasing pollution of all kinds in a finite system seem to be coming to a head. I'm concerned about the future for all of us. This is an underrated comment because, well, gestures suggestively. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more videos.